Welcome to Dan ARG YouTube, Edo Social Media Conference 2021. The Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, don give advice on how to move Edo State forward. Among the people wey dey here na Apostle Alfred Uyinosa, the man wey dey talk am as e be. Make I leave you now, make you hear from the governor. Enjoy the video.
Been abusing me on social media.
They're playing together.
Should be an old couple now. You see, I'm really glad to be here with you and to just, I wish I'd come in earlier to hear Ike speak, but I know his story. I've known Ike since he was this high. But just listening to Banky and his message, I just said to myself, wow, yes, some people get it. I'm sure a lot of my people will now get it. That we are a very special breed of people from this part of the country. I know people are very special. I don't know. There's something in our DNA. And I tell you, because when I went to Germany a couple of weeks or months ago, with the German government to talk about the return of our artifacts with the Crown Prince, just feeling some of those works, holding them, the sheer weight, the finesse in those crafts. I said, wow. Many of these works were created 300 years before the invasion. So I'm saying, you mean our forebears had this sense of artistry? They could work with difficult material like metal to come out with such fineness and such amazing productions. This was when we didn't have technology. This was when we hadn't studied the art of engineering, but this is where our people were. So for me, there's no further evidence that we have this creativity, we have innovation in our DNA. It's there. That's who we are. And for us, the issue is, how do we translate all of this inheritance, all of this endowment to today? In a very disruptive world. I just finished the session with my civil servants and said, well, look, there is no time in the history of mankind that you've had this amount of destruction in such a short period of time. Look at all of you, say you are social media influencers. 10 years ago, did any of you exist doing this? Totally new industry, totally new business. In 10 years' time, will you still be relevant? Maybe not. Maybe you'll be much bigger. So we are in a very unique time in our history as mankind. If somebody had told you that last year, the whole world will come to a standstill, that nobody will move, that all the big men who had all the money with the planes, if before they'll be stuck, would you have believed? So what do I say? It's a changing world. And somehow God has placed you in this very unique situation and position at this point in time to be quite powerful and useful in moving messages back and forth, in communicating ideas, in communicating issues. And I sit back and ask myself, do these young people really know what we're doing in Edo State? I'm sure they don't. So when people say, oh, he's very thick-skinned, I say, look, it's like I forgive them because they don't know what they are doing to me. They also don't know what they're doing to themselves. Here is a man who has come to try and come and help open the space, free it up for them. And they are persecuting him. The same people I'm trying to wrestle power from, and open up the space for you. And the same people who are giving them money to try and stop the process, and they haven't realized that. But it's not about politics. It's about where we are today. Where we are today as a country, where we are today as a people, and how we are positioning ourselves for the new world we found ourselves in. I was just telling my civil servants, I said, look, Tesla, the car makers, the electric car makers, received an order for how many cars? 100,000 brand new cars from Hertz. What's that saying? That's saying that, look, the world is saying we're not going to drive vehicles with petrol again. It's gone. Yeah, so all the jobs they're sending to us now, it's only a few years' time. We will not be able to use them. We'll have to use the technology of now and the future. What is the implication of that? Nigeria, oil giants. Yeah. Suddenly we'll be like Lilliputians. Because for some strange reason, the last 2 generations have evolved, believing that because of oil money, we can buy anything in the world. That we don't have to produce anything. That innate creativity in us, that innate spirit of innovation we killed for 2 generations. Growing up, it was African-American pop music we were listening to. James Brown, Patti LaBelle, everybody else. We could tell, the names of every artist, small and big in America, as if we didn't have artists here. Fast forward 2 generations. Does anybody even listen to any music that's not Nigerian? What has changed? What I see happening is that there has been a very, very rapid transformation of us. That thing in us as a people is now beginning to come out. And we're now utilizing modern tools to propagate those values, those creative values, those artistic values in us. And just see how we've succeeded in the spaces that have been opened to us. Music, movies, areas that government cannot regulate. Government cannot regulate how you think. Government cannot regulate how you think and project yourselves, right? See the amount of success that we have attained in those areas. But every other area where government has a hold, bandwidth, electricity, water, the one they can look at what they're doing. Look at the amount of progress we've made in those areas, in the areas of creating the infrastructure we need to express ourselves. So that's been the challenge of this country in the last 2 generations. That myopia, that, we have oil, we are rich, we can buy everything, we therefore don't need to create anything. You have lots of big people, very rich people, in quotes, and you cannot say this is the basis of their wealth. This is the enterprise that produced their wealth. And then suddenly, those ones using their money to now buy political influence and political power to dominate the space. And then all of us fighting each other, complaining, waiting for crumbs, and sub-optimizing our existence. That is what has happened. And for us in EDO, we are lucky that a process started several years ago. And I will say, I won't say it's me, it's God. I am an accidental God. Because if I had been through that process, PA to somebody, member honorable in our House of Assembly, some legislator in Abuja, maybe I would not be thinking the way I'm doing today. I came from totally off flank, coming into government, coming into politics, and I can see that this is a very constricted and circumscribed society. But they don't also realize, we don't also realize that the major asset, the major resource we have is our young people. We have that demographic advantage today. I don't know whether we'll have it in 30 years. So what use do we put that advantage to now? Let us not go through the pain, the challenge South Africa is going through, where when they were young people like you, they were fighting for apartheid. We will not receive instructions in Afrikaans. We will not do this, we will not do that. Fine. South Africa under Mandela became free. What happened to those kids who fought for ANC? They didn't go to school. So today, they are not able to take advantage of the opportunities that independence or the freedom has produced. And what are the consequences? We suffer it in the form of xenophobia, because Nigerians come in, work hard, take advantage of the opportunities, and they say, oh, you are a problem. You're the one taking our jobs, taking our fine women, leave our country. So the point is, for us in Edo today, where are we? What are we about? It's about opening up the space. Somehow, over the years, we just thought that the most critical factor, the most important element in here is government. So I go into people's private parties now. The moment I come in as governor, they stop and play national anthem. In your private party. Do you understand? That's the way government has gotten to us. We just don't realize that this place is so much bigger than we see. What is going on here? Today in Edo, the total amount of money we have to spend as government is about $500 million equivalent, right? We have about 200 billion as government a year. But in terms of remittances alone, about $20 billion comes into this country every year. It was about 25 before COVID. At least with the kind of contribution Edo has in the diaspora, we earn nothing less than 10% of that amount. So roughly $2 billion come in, and most of it comes into the state every year from individuals who've gone out to work. So here we are as government. We have only 500 million. Private people bring in 5 times what we spend. Because we check with the banks. How many bank branches are there in Benin City? More than 100. And for a bank branch to break even, it has to do a certain amount of turnover. So the money exists. But because you do not have a government that's organized, that opens up the space, you don't see it. Because that 500 million of government is like what you call the egg, the seed capital, the equity. That's what we politicians are fighting about. And my position is that if you eat the egg, will you get the chicken? Huh? No. If you eat the yam head, will you get harvest? No. But if you invested, you're lucky, you fertilize the egg properly, would you not have nothing more chicken? And create the opportunity. So for Edo, I see the rest of most other states in Nigeria today. We have that unique advantage, and it comes again from our creativity as a people, our restlessness. When a young man wakes up and says, "I'm not doing again," say, "What you say? I'm not doing this babbling again." He sells his equipment, takes the 300,000 naira, gives it to somebody who will help him go to Europe, and say, "Okay, how you want to go?" Say, "Look, we had. I don't know. After 3 days, I say I will go." But not, other people not when they go, they get too ahead. That mindset is very unique. So as government, I said, maybe rather than condemning such people, maybe you want to tap into that mindset and give them opportunities to grow and do something here. So this is essentially the background behind what we're doing as government. How do we use the seed capital, invest it properly, build the required infrastructure, so that our citizens, they don't have to be clamoring for government jobs. They can create jobs on their own. How many of you here work for government? How many? No, very few, if any. My chief of staff says, But all of you, are you not paying your house rent?
Yes, sir.
Are you not surviving somewhat? Of course it could be better. But when we now think, people now make you think that, oh, without government there's no life. I want to fester of government and take that life, that investment capital, which should provide for everybody, then we have a crisis. And that is the struggle I believe we're seeing today. And unfortunately, some of you are I won't say being used, have not been properly Well, you can take a position, but I'm sure many people don't see things from that perspective. They're thinking, what is my role in utilizing the tools I have? As Banki said, we have just realized as government that, well, 5 years on, things are happening, but our people are not taking advantage. We have EDO jobs. Because there's that basic intrinsic distrust of government. So when we put out adverts for jobs online, guess what? You have lots of applications. And you call and say, come, they will need you for an interview tomorrow. I'm in Lagos. I'm in Port Harcourt. But we thought, how did you then get to know about EDO jobs? I just browsed and went, looked at the website because I've been looking for work. But ask a lot of young people in EDO. No. The government are lying. They're not it. So we're having a problem where opportunities are being created. We're seeing those opportunities, but people who don't live in EDO are now coming in to take advantage of those opportunities. We are building infrastructure. Last night, I was having dinner with two very, very important people, private business people, the owners of IHS. I don't know whether you know that. IHS own most of the towers, telecom towers in Nigeria. Because after that confusion with all the telecom companies, because the telecom companies now say, no, we don't want to. They give all their towers to this company to manage everybody. So they manage all the towers, about 7,000 or so towers across the country. And we'll be working with them in EDO on some transactions. I'm sitting down and talking with them. Then realized one of the engineers told me, you know this EDO? I was there many years ago, I was there 13 years ago. I said, what did you come to do? We said that was where we started. After Lagos, we came to Benin. I started building out our business until we had a break with MTN and Airtel. So I like Benin, I know Benin. Oh, there's one hotel, Saidi. I said, Saidi Center. I said, is it still there? No, I said, it has closed. And he said, do you know that your state, the reason why we really want to work with you, is that your state is an infrastructure hub for our services. I said, I know. Not only an infrastructure hub for telecoms now, but also an infrastructure hub for transportation, an infrastructure hub for electricity, an infrastructure hub for gas. And electricity and gas are the two key elements we need for industrialization. So if we can just organize ourselves, organize government properly, plan, think, the key resources to make it happen are here. Dubai does not have a fraction of what we have. The UAE does not. It's a desert. Dubai does not even have oil. They just have only one of the factors we have, location. So I just see a realm of possibilities. But if the people who have the opportunities are not selling their opportunities, who will sell it for them? Nobody. If the person who is trying to open up the space for them is the one they are hitting hard at, and if they kill him, who will be the next person to even think and support this? So when they say come here today, I say I'm coming to tell you. When you finish, you kill me. Because the way the structure of the place today is, unfortunately, the odds are so stacked against you, you have no idea. You have no idea. People sit in Abuja, they're manipulating monetary policy, manipulating their fiscal policy. I can't even see how you guys will make it if you don't force a fight to bring this existing system down so that you can open it up for you. I mean, in the meeting yesterday, I said, well, why are you not bringing any more money? He said, who will bring money into Nigeria today? Nobody. When you don't know the rates at which you bring the money and the rates at which you take it out. If you have money today, if you are not in Nigeria, will you bring the money to current rate. You bring them at what rate? You say you go and sell at 4 something, and some people are buying at 5. Tomorrow you might be going to 700. Who will do that? So it's only us that can build a system. And I am so optimistic because when I see what you guys are doing, what Mbanki have done, what IK have done, and hundreds of them, thousands of them have done in the space of entertainment where they had the freedom, I'm encouraged that it doesn't really matter. Let's continue this fight. Let's break down the walls, let's be destructive. I've disrupted the political space, whether they like it or not. Disruption should have ripple effects across the economy. I told you, Stephen Governor, I said you are printing money, you are destroying this economy. It starts to fight me and I said, have I lied? We have to disrupt this place and create a new order, that a relevant new order to see us and our children to where we want to go. You are as good as any other media influencers anywhere in the world. But how are we directing these energies? Mostly we're focusing our energies on a disrupted and disjointed political arrangement. It's a waste. But people are not stupid, they know. So let's pack that aside. So what are the new opportunities we're creating? First, I want this place to be a technology hub. Your creativity, your innate creativity, your innate artistry can only be propagated if you have those key infrastructure. I was in the British Museum last week, hearing the Benin dialogue talking about artifacts. And we're going to say, no, people don't even understand what we're trying to do. That we have some unique advantages all over Africa. When they talk about Benin because of these bronzes in all the museums, right? So I was sitting down with the curators, they've been working on this for the last 12, 13 years. Because when I came in, we were able to make progress. And I said, for me, the significance of these pieces is that we are moving objects that are so well known already in Europe back to their origins, back to their source. Not for them to just go and sit down in museums, no. But for these objects to serve as inspiration for a new generation to make contact so that it tells you who you are. That if my forebears could do this so many years ago, let me try and surpass what they did. Because most of you will never see those objects, you just see them in photographs. So bringing them here creates that connection, almost a spiritual connection with your past. But more importantly, it opens up a new space. It opens up a new space for so much. Because we're designing a cultural district in downtown Benin City. Where you have spaces, cultural open spaces to view objects, to entertain, to to be creative, and to do what you guys know how to do best. But that link, I was in London and I was hearing BBC talk about these Benin roses, and on the main BBC news, I said, oh, this is what we want. They gave us your photo from Cambridge. I said, no problem. So I'll ask somebody in future to now do a replica and send back there. I said the original. So for that space, they took the photo where they used to display it in their museum. They put a replica designed by an artist here. And so when visitors go in the future, they say, no, the original of this space is in a museum in Benin. There's now something to send you, that will attract you to its origin. So for me, it's more creating that relationship so that you can continue to bring traffic. You can continue to bring an economy into the city. And when that economy comes, who are the professionals, who are the practitioners that will take advantage of such? Is it not you guys? Everybody says Lagos, 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 Lagos. What makes Lagos tick? People. When I got back in 1994 from the States, Lagos had failed as a city. There was no, Awolowo Road was this tiny strip. In 1995, 1994, 95, was this tiny strip full of petrol stations. That time there was a lot of fuel scarcity. And people would just park their cars for weeks and leave and go away. So Lagos had failed. Today, Lagos accounts for almost, I think it's the 5th or 7th largest economy in Africa. Lagos State alone. And I see the same possibility here. And all that will make that difference is in the investments we make today as government. So we're investing in electricity, and as God will have it, no city has the amount of electricity than Edo, Benin City. There's 1,000 megawatts of power here. 1,000 megawatts of power here lying idle. So our fight is, how do we restructure the distribution arrangement, get investors in, so that we can take this power and give it to people. We have, and why do we have power? Because this is the cheapest place to generate electricity, where transmission and distribution meet, and where you have onshore gas. Working with Main One, we've built, for me it was like magic. This premises, if you go down, it has fiber. We have almost 800 kilometers of fiber around this city and some other cities. It's there. We just, I don't know how many of you have gone to our tech park in Horomi. We did with the nursing school. That thing was built in 6 months. We have at least 150 young men and women like you who are there training. And by the time they finish, it's a 6-month training program, by the time they finish, they get jobs as programmers, as software engineers, immediately. The permanent site has been designed by another group of investors, by Benin Technical College, and they'll start construction early next year. Our goal is we want to create at least 10,000 software engineers in this state between now and another 5 years. Because the world is about software. Everything in the world today is software. And we stand an advantage. Because if I'm a manufacturer or I'm producing something in America today, I want somebody to do a code, to develop a code for a process. It's going to take you 1,000 man-hours. And I say, okay, how much? You are charging me $20 an hour in Estonia. You are charging me $17 an hour in Latvia. You are charging $25 an hour in India. And I'm charging $7 an hour in Edo, or $10 an hour. Where would the business go? And you don't have to. You are in your house. They will give you the work. You design, they check online, you finish, they post your money to your account. So if I have 10,000 people in this city earning $50,000 to $100,000 a year, we will not be better than Lagos.
Yeah.
So on a final note, I have not, you notice I have spoken, I have not talked about politics. Because that's what all of you are interested in, and I'm not interested anymore. Because I finished my lecture, I'm not interested in development. It's Banky and Ike have come in, and they've shown you this is just a tip of what is possible. In all that's going on now, something good is going to come out. We are a very big country. 200 million is a lot of people. But somehow, in our thinking, from a policy standpoint, from a political standpoint, we don't seem to realize. So people are talking, the president went to present the budget to the House of National Assembly. How much was this budget? $34 billion for 200 million people. The city of Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts, I think it's Massachusetts in America, or one of those small states, their budget with about 9 million people is $45 billion. 9 million people. So we are a very big country, but we don't think big. A few people just want to sit down and control everything and limit us and keep us thinking that they're doing us a favor. And I expect that you have to now begin to have that understanding that this country needs to be opened up. The space needs to be opened up. There is enough space for everybody. But it starts with the political emancipation first. And we've done it in EDO. You cannot say these are the godfathers of the people holding the system. And they don't exist. They don't. So we've gone through that process. The next now is how do we, now how we've opened up this political space, how do we now express ourselves? How do we organize to make sure we begin to attract people to come in, attract investments, so that people can bring money in here and we'll do well? We've not done much. But look at now I've said, before I construct any highway now, any road, I must shine my eye and make sure I clean up the area first. Look at what happened, we've just done in Okoromi and Amagba. Just because of the main roads, the infrastructure we put in there. See how the communities are killing each other? Because the value of those assets have gone up. And we can see growth in so many areas. People are calling. Look at rental values. Rents are just going up. The economy is growing. It will grow because the human beings exist. And these human beings need goods and services. For you, as influencers, I hope that as you leave this audience today, as you leave this conference, you now begin to understand that, look, where, as Banky said, you have a weapon that is so powerful, that is so transformational. Try and use that weapon for good. Don't buy people's lives. Don't let, when people say, take one, this is the story. When you finish with that, okay, tomorrow what then happens? Let's look for opportunities that are sustainable and they exist. I can give you those opportunities. We can direct you to those opportunities. I am leaving you guys very optimistic, knowing that you already know. When I read some of your communications and how smart and how, I don't want to use any negative, how smart that some of the messages have been coined. I just am awed. Because sometimes they take a story that totally is false or non-existent, and just bring it to life. You bring the story to life, and it just, and I'm going out and I'm asking, why are you destroying a hospital? Destroying a hospital for motor park? I said, this will kill me. I said, okay. They said, okay, what? I said, well, maybe I should go to Canada and tell them that, look, I have 2 hospitals on the site. One is 90 years old, one is 5 years old. I'm trying to move the one from 90-year-old to 5-year-old so that I can provide better quality medical services. Is there anything wrong with that? But it's... You're laughing, eh? Look at you. They know themselves. But I'm very glad that you guys have put this together on your own. I want to just assure you, the government, that the next few weeks we'll be going through some major changes. We're going to be making announcements and trying to open government, totally open. And you have access to all the information you need. We've done something in EDO which is rare. We now have what we call an EDO Communications Office. And this is where in every agency of government, we now have documented what they do. So we're trying to get government genuine content in a sustainable manner. You don't have to wait for the commissioner or yes, for you to know what is going on, how many projects have been undertaken in a particular ministry, what they have done right, what they haven't done right, how much the contract was bidded out for. All of that was there. We owe it to the people. We are moving into an era where we will be getting more tax revenues to run government than money from Abuja. And for you to do that and sustain that, then you must be able to explain to the people who are giving you the money what you're doing with what they have given you. I want to thank you and to assure you that, honestly, I am not angry with any of you. One of you came to see me a couple of, we just had an interaction. And he said, oh, no, I could see the shock. I know that you've been acting on information from a particular slant. Now that you have the full spectrum, I would get angry if you now go ahead and continue that way when you now know better. Now you should be a lot more balanced. But since you didn't handle it, so the same thing goes for all of us. But I believe that working with you going forward, we will create an EDO, create an EDO what no one else has in this part of the world. And I trust that, having heard the story of IK's grandmother lived in Ozai Street, if you don't know. And my grandmother lived in Owina Street. So I used to go to grandmother as a child every other day. So that's where he comes from here. It comes from you. And look at what he's done, what he's achieved. So if IK can do it, there's none of you who can't. Just using that same innate ability, which is in your DNA, to recreate your own world. Thank you very much.
Please let's put the hands together for the governor. Please let's put the hands together for the governor. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thank you. We appreciate it. Please let's keep standing until the governor takes his seat. Thank you. Thank you. We are hoping to have a few more minutes for the governor to answer. We're hoping to have a few more minutes to answer, to have the governor honor us with his time and answer some of the questions here. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to politely appeal to the governor, sir. Please, Your Excellency, we'd love to bring you up, yes. And we'll have Banky and IK sitting side by side, your two sons. Yes, please. So as we do that, for those of us who have questions, let's keep them coming. I'll be receiving so many questions directed at His Excellency. I'm hoping some of us have questions specifically for IK and Banky. Thank you, Your Excellency. We appreciate it. Okay, so please, for those questions, you have ushers dispersed across the room. If you have questions for IK and Banky, just bring them to me in front. Sarah and I here will do justice to all of them. So, we're just going to go straight off because we understand the governor has a tight schedule. Your Excellency, we have a bunch of questions here. Let's begin with the first one. It says, my name is Rachel, and I'd like to know how you leverage social media feedback to gauge the work that you do for Edo State as the governor. Of course, you talked a while ago jokingly how that people lash out to you on social media. I'm sure there are people who also say, for example, this road has not been done in my neighborhood. This school has to be renovated and so on and so forth. How do you use that as a basis to, if you like, for your KPIs, basically?
Thank you. I think one great thing about social media is that it gives you a very independent, unbiased feedback. But you've got to be careful that it does not control you. You don't allow it to control you because people could also manipulate social media. For us, because we have a plan, right? We've spent time thinking through different areas of intervention. When people feed us back, for instance, take C4 roads. With the civil roads, they were just quick intervention roads, and we give the contracts to local contractors. So you have a range of them. Some are good, some are not too good. And in some cases, they're used to bad habits of cutting corners, making sure that the specifications are not met. And unfortunately, you also have people in government who connive. And so they do those roads, and very soon they begin to fall apart. That sort of feedback helps me go back to the files, find out what happened, who was involved, what was, and then go back and help to take remedial action. So now the next set of roads we're going to be constructing this dry season, we're making sure that only those contractors that have proven themselves, indigenous contractors. Part of social media was that, I gave all the contracts to contractors from Lagos and I understood where that was coming from. The people who used to get the contracts were not the real contractors in the past. They were the political, you know what? They then sell the contracts to the contractors. So now I'm giving the real contractor the work to do directly. The person who used to get it before say, I'll give it to someone in Lagos. So it helps me with feedback, and we then use that, especially now with a much more robust supervisory team in my office. We can now follow up very, very quickly on each sincere feedback.
Great. I'm just going to follow up, sir, with another question here. Obviously, you've done so much. Right from the ground up, you made it clear that the economy was a priority for your government. I remember you talked about that in 2016, that the economy was a priority for your government. And you've done that. We've seen Alago now, more than one edition of Alago now, for example. We've seen EDO jobs. We've seen what you're doing with the Innovate Hub, for instance. We see young people who have come out from there. Some of them are our friends. So I'm sure this next question is along those lines, sir. And then he says, conversations around socio-economic narratives have moved to the social media. How much of influence does this have on entrepreneurship in Edo State? This is from Thomas from Edo North.
I think for me as the governor, sometimes I try and break down these big words, these big jargons, into everyday existence. What we've been trying to do is, people are natural entrepreneurs. Most people are. And what we've been trying to do is, how do we break down these fancy economic theories and policies to this everyday person on the street? How do we support that sense of entrepreneurship in a sincere and sustained manner? It's first, yes, we've created EDO jobs, we've created a few of these things. It helps us, and my campaigning, election with the everyday woman. So, under Data to Mega, for instance, where we send people around every street in all the most local government areas, I can now tell you in Ego, on a particular street, how many shops there are, and likely what they are selling. So how do I support that sort of entrepreneurship? Is to now say to you, look, I have some micro MMSE funding for your business. Do not have the data on what you are selling. Okay, you are doing Brazilian hair and Brazilian wigs. Okay, how can I partner you with Conga, our partners, so that you can sell more of your goods online? So we are using data, which we're collecting now, sitting with the team to understand what people are doing and relating it to our policies, and try to make sure we now, bring our people who are already enterprising, who are already trying, just open them to more opportunities.
All right, great. Let's just take one here quickly. I can assure you, between last weekend and today, the feedback has been incredible for these events. For instance, I'm sure the organizers are so excited. First, they believe that your presence here is an endorsement of the initiative. But going forward, someone is asking, I would like to know how much you intend to partner with those social media influencers. This is from Amafe Jessica.
Well, Jessica. She's one of my main supporters. And what people don't know is that I have never really met Jessica one-on-one. You don't believe it. I'm meeting her first time physically today. How do I intend to partner? I'm one of, I come from a classical tradition. I believe that the truth never changes. And as much as possible, it's not you will not influence things you want to influence, but you want to influence them based on facts. People say, oh, he doesn't spend money. No, I don't bribe. I try not to bribe. I try to sell my story as is. I try to be as authentic as I can be. Because tomorrow must come. And the lie we've told today will be revealed tomorrow. So, how do I intend to partner? I intend to partner by opening up the space. Let them see more, let them have more tools, more information to use. But not call people and say, take this amount of money, one say this, one write this, tell this story. I will never do such a thing. Never.
Okay, we're just going to, can we put our hands together for the governor, everyone? Thank you so much. Please, let's give questions coming for Banky and, of course, IK to also answer, because they have very incredible stories that they have shared here today. We're going to switch batteries for your microphone at this moment. But I just want to ask you a question quickly, what somebody is saying here. The person is talking basically about how social media has changed narratives generally. All right, that going forward, what exactly are some specific ways in which your government, Edo State under your leadership, will leverage social media to continue to hold the anthem as far as development is concerned?
Like I said, we have put in place this plan. The reason why we didn't seem to be engaging social media the way we have done in the last years is that it was not sustainable. I knew what my opponents were doing, but it wasn't just sustainable. So what we've done now is created a communications office, right? So when I say something or put, facts about a particular issue area, I'm able to explain it to you. Yes, we want to build 5,000 kilometers of road in Edo State over the next 5 years or 7 years. This is how we want to do it. We know that this is deficit. This is the amount of money we have, and this is how we want to go about the plan. It's being able to authentically and frankly let the people know what government is doing. Be honest enough to tell them about the constraints of government, and also break things down into them in the modules they can understand. What September 19th last year taught me is that our people are not stupid. They know what is going on. They may not be able to explain it in sophisticated terms, but they can tell, they can feel when something is right or it's not true. They also have a very strong sense of justice and fairness. And lastly, they are very aspirational, particularly the young people. They know who they are, even when they have not received the kind of quality education they ought to have, but it doesn't make them feel diminished. So with this in mind, our engagement with social media is going to be based, one, on openness, one, on respect, and frankness.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Please, let's put our hands together for the governor. While we are switching the batteries for the microphone, I'm directing this question at IK. The person wants you to answer the question. Says, how do you intend to connect more to Edo State people, knowing your history? This is from Matthew Osas. I guess that's your last name here. A while ago I said this was homecoming for you, so I think this person is latching onto that. To say, how do you intend to, going forward, connect more with Edo State? Of course, you succinctly made reference to how that you've always longed for opportunities to come back here and make impact, and I'm sure that process has begun right now. So by the time the battery is replaced, I'd like you to answer that one.
First of all, one more time, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be here. This is my second trip this month to Benin, and there's a possible third one, right? You'll find that a lot more has started to happen in terms of the access to Benin. And this is Benin's story. I've always wanted to come and do things here because I'm Edo, I'm from Benin, right? But I think there are a lot more people across the country that want to come, but accessibility has been an issue. But thank God for the present government that has made it possible for people who are interested to find avenues to come. We've been talking for the last 2 days about things we want to do, and these aren't money-making ventures for us, but more, how can we open up the space? His Excellency said it 1,001 times during his speech about opening up the space. I have something called the IK Talks, which is it's a give back initiative where people who want to be presenters, radio presenters, TV presenters, MCs, we train them for just 1 day. We answer questions, and then we bring speakers as well to talk to them, sort of like what happened here today. And we've been looking to do things like that here. And so we've been talking for the last 2 days about how we can make things like that happen, how we can open up radio, TV, trainings and stuff. And we've got a lot of support from the state government in terms of their willingness to open up the space for us to do stuff. So I can assure you, over the next 2 years, you'll be seeing me a lot here. You'll be tagged.
Please help put your hands together for IK. All right, that's great. So let's turn to banking quickly now. One here says, a friend of mine has been a social media influencer for 10 years now and does not have more than 11 followers. What do you advise he should do with his life from MC?
I think actually, I'm having a hard time hearing with the echo.
Okay. All right, so he says there's a friend of his who has just 11 followers on social media.
11 followers?
11 followers, yes. So what should such a person do with their life?
The question is that a friend has 11 followers. 11 followers. What should they do with their life? You go and talk to God about that. Here's the thing. I do think there's an important point to make here, which is that you don't need to have millions of followers to be influential. It's not true. You don't need to, yes, you know, the Davidos and the Wizkids and co may have millions of followers, but that's applicable for what they do and where they are. Now, I'll tell you an interesting story. I'll tell you an interesting fact. EME as an agency partners, influencers, and ambassadors with corporate companies. And sometimes the influencer and the ambassador that the company wants to work with, we have tools that we track what your audience is like. So maybe you don't have 5 million followers. Maybe you have 10,000 or 5,000 or 20,000. But the audience that listens to you is the audience that the company actually wants to talk to. So you can have a small number of followers, but your influence can be great in a particular sector. And that's why you have to know who you are, what your messaging is, how to position yourself. There are people in the fashion space. Most of you here don't even know who they are. But everybody who is anybody in the fashion business, they follow them on Instagram because of the way that they communicate, the things that they push, the kind of content that they create, the way that they speak. And so companies feel comfortable saying, okay, this girl only has 5,000 or this guy only has 10,000 people or whatever. But the quality of the audience that they have is the audience that we're looking for. So the person that has 11 followers, 11 may be a bit small, to be honest with you. But I think let's not, in joking, miss the point, which is that no matter how small your audience is, your audience can be important. And your messaging can be important. So pay attention to that.
Let me follow up. I hope you hear me this time. Thank you. Let me follow up with that one quickly. It says, okay, this one is actually for IK. Okay, I don't know if you do, but we'll give you the, okay, let's give IK the honors to do that. Hopefully, Frank can add to that. It says, how do you focus on a single passion when you seemingly have a couple of talents? So I think the person is talking about being thematic with what you do, right?
So in other words, how do you go from being a jack of all trades to a master in one area? I can't tell you that I had a formula for focus, right? But you find opportunities for expression. So you could be a great singer, a great drummer, a great social media influencer, you could be a great actor. I think first find opportunities for expression and use your gifts as you find the opportunities for expression. So in other words, if acting is one of your passions and music is one of your passions, do both. But wherever you find expression, if you find an opportunity to act. If you find an opportunity to dance. Do what you are passionate about and chase up every opportunity for expression. Why? Because the more you use the gift, your skill, your gift doesn't become a skill from focus, it becomes a skill from use. If you read the books, they'll tell you need about 10,000 hours of practicing any gift to make it, to master it and become a skill. So it's just use it over and over again. People who say they want to be MCs come to me all the time at the IK talks and say, we want to do this, how do we? I say start at your church, start in your neighborhood, start in your local government. When your neighborhood, your estate is having the MC there, you know, wherever you find expression, express yourself there in that gift and you'll find mastery eventually. There's no formula to focus.
All right, please, can we put our hands together for them? This is where we are drawing the curtains on the Q&A. We want to thank very specially His Excellency for this honor. We don't take it for granted, sir. Thank you so much. Please, can we put our hands together for Banky and IK as well. At this point, I want to break to the front, one of the lead organizers, Fares Affair, because we understand that there is a presentation to be done at this point. So let's make that happen quickly. We are gradually coming to the end of today's event, but this is a highlight and a high point for us. Okay, so I understand the items are being brought forward for presentation. Thank you.
It's always good to have you guys. I want to especially thank you for the invitation and have a small token for you to say thank you. So, just want to say thank you to you guys. So I appreciate the suit. Thank you so much. My mentor, Mr. Banky W. I cannot give you something that represents our culture here. So when you take it to Lagos, you can always remember that you came to the Benin Kingdom. So it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to present this to you. Thank you, sir. So Mr. Ike, this is a homecoming for you, so I'm sure you can relate very well. So I want to say thank you, and as a little token from the committee to say thank you for coming, and we're looking forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I thank you all for coming, and I hope you all. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, Governor Gordon Obaseki, the Chief of Staff to the District Government, Right Honorable Engineer Cyclone, ably represented. Ladies and gentlemen, all happy to continue. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the conference organizers, I would like to express my profound gratitude to all of you who have come together here today for this inaugural Social Media Influencers Conference. I want to thank the speakers, the participants, and the special guest of honor for honoring this event. I am pleased with the quality of information we have exposed today, and it is my firm belief that we can go back home and use what we have learned here today to better ourselves. It is my hope, based on the face-to-face relationship we have established through this conference, that we will be able to respond together to issues and redirect our vision to the ways we can use social media to develop ourselves and society. I look forward to seeing all of you again next year in our proposed Tech Week. Yes. I am wishing you all safe journey back to your various destinations. Thank you very much.
We understand His Excellency will be joining for... Okay, I'm sure the photograph is going to be done here instead. Are we doing another one of that? Okay, Your Excellency, sir, we understand that we need to do one just against the backdrop behind. Members of the LOC, kindly join His Excellency for a last photo shoot against the backdrop and just behind the audience. Thank you. We understand there's a lunch happening downstairs, so for those who have their lunch pass.
Now we don't hear from the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki. Let us know what you think for everything we don't talk today for this video. Go to comment section, make you put your own. If you never subscribe to Dan ARG YouTube, try make you subscribe so that make you for the hear all the things where they happen for Edo State. Make I leave you now with this video, make you help us share them. Thank you for watching Dan ARG YouTube.